Mediterranean darkness, February 16, 1804. A small boat cuts through black waters toward Tripoli harbor. Inside, Lieutenant Stephen Decatur grips his sword. Tonight, he will either become America's greatest naval hero or die trying anonymously. 3 months earlier, USS Philadelphia ran aground on uncharted reefs. Captain William Bainbridge surrendered 307 American sailors to Tripoli's ruler. Now they rot in dungeons while their warship serves the enemy who captured them, yesterday's pride. Tripoli prison cell. Sailor Jacob Williams carves another mark into stone. 73 days captive. Through iron bars, he watches his former ship Philadelphia being armed with enemy cannons. The betrayal burns worse than hunger. Hope dies harder than men. Why did American warships sail 5,000 miles from home? Simple: extortion. For decades, Barbary states demanded gold for safe passage. President Jefferson said no. That single word ignited America's first foreign war. Defiance has its price. Decatur examines the captured ketch Mastico, renamed Intrepid for tonight's mission. This Tripolitan vessel becomes their Trojan horse. 70 volunteers squeeze aboard, most hidden below deck. They speak only Arabic or Italian. English words mean instant death tonight. Midshipman Thomas McDonough fingers his mother's letter. Come home safe, brave boy. He's 17, youngest volunteer present. His pocket holds a sweetheart's sketch. If they fail tonight, she'll receive only his sword. Love makes soldiers of boys. Philosophy haunts every warrior. Is destroying your own ship victory or defeat? For Decatur, clarity emerges. Better to burn Philadelphia than let pirates use her against American merchant families struggling to build new lives through honest Atlantic trade. Picture this fortress, 44 guns, now aimed at American vessels. Philadelphia was built from Pennsylvania oak, her timbers thick as a man's waist. She represented American ambition. Now she's a symbol of humiliation, demanding redemption through fire. Sicilian pilot Salvador Catalano steers them closer. He's their voice tonight, their deception mask. Born in Palermo, he knows these waters like childhood prayers. One wrong Arabic syllable from his practiced tongue, and 71 Americans die tonight. Below deck, men breathe through cloth, muffling sound. Sweat drips despite February cold. Marine Sergeant Solomon Wren counts heartbeats in darkness. 8 Marines coiled like springs, ready to explode into violence when Decatur gives the predetermined signal word. Harbor guards shout from Philadelphia's deck. Catalano responds, "Storm took our anchors." Permission to tie alongside for the night? The lie flows smooth as honey. Guards lower their muskets. The trap is set. Deception precedes destruction perfectly. James Lawrence, future captain who will cry, "Don't give up the ship," watches Tripoli's fortress guns. One alarm, those cannons turn Intrepid into driftwood. He counts 60 guns within range. Mathematics of death, calculated in heartbeats and distance. Ships touch. Ropes fly across dark water. Everything balances on this moment's edge. Decatur locks eyes with an enemy guard, sees suspicion growing like storm clouds. Time slows. His hand finds his cutlass beneath the Maltese merchant disguise. Board! Decatur's scream shatters deception like crystal. 70 Americans surge from hiding, steel flashing in moonlight. Surprise is their only advantage. Speed their sole shield. Violence erupts across Philadelphia's deck in choreographed chaos. War begins with a word. Midshipman Morris corners a Tripolitan near the mainmast. The man drops his scimitar, pleads in broken Italian. Morris hesitates. This enemy has a face, probably children. But war doesn't pause for conscience. The mission continues. Mercy becomes unaffordable luxury. 20 Tripolitans leap overboard, choosing drowning over American steel. Water swallows their screams. Others fight with curved blades against naval cutlasses. Blood makes oak slippery. This isn't glory, it's organized murder wrapped in patriotic necessity. Truth has teeth. Below, Charles Morris leads 10 men through darkness. They carry combustibles, tar, pitch, powder. Each man knows these materials intimately. Fire is their art tonight. Philadelphia will become their masterpiece of controlled destruction, a symphony of calculated sacrifice. Captain's cabin. Decatur finds Bainbridge's belongings scattered across the table. Navigation charts, half-written letters home. For a heartbeat, he sees command's human cost. Then he douses everything in whale oil. Sentiment burns as easily as wood. You're watching men destroy what they love to deny it to those they hate. Every language has this word, sacrifice. But tonight, in Tripoli harbor, that word takes physical form, flame, smoke, and the acrid smell of dreams burning. Fire spreads faster than anticipated. Paint bubbles, rope ignites, tar melts into flame rivers. Men scramble for rails. Joseph Bainbridge, the captured captain's brother, takes one last look. He came for family redemption. Mission accomplished, heartbroken forever. Flames reach the gun deck. Loaded cannons begin firing randomly as heat triggers charges. Iron balls scream across harbor, hitting buildings, other ships. Philadelphia dies fighting, even unmanned. She remains American to her burning core, defiant in destruction. Tripolitan soldiers race along waterfront, muskets blazing. Bullets whistle past Intrepid as she pulls away. Midshipman Izard counts muzzle flashes, over 200. The entire city awakens to fight them. They row harder, freedom measured in desperate strokes. From his palace, Bashar Yusuf Karamanli watches his prize burn. 44 guns, months of refitting, naval dominance dreams, all consumed in minutes. He screams for his admiral's head. But rage can't resurrect ashes. Decatur has written history tonight. Midnight brings the explosion. Fire reaches Philadelphia's magazine. 20,000 pounds of gunpowder detonate simultaneously. The blast illuminates Tripoli like daylight. Windows shatter 2 miles away. Citizens think Judgment Day arrived. For Barbary piracy, perhaps it has. Aboard Intrepid, men cheer then fall silent. They've succeeded, but what's won? A burning ship? Dead enemies? Surgeon's mate Lewis Heerman tends wounded sailors. Blood soaks through bandages. Victory's price gets paid in someone's flesh and pain. Consider this moment, viewer. These men sailed into enemy harbor, outnumbered 1,000 to 1, to destroy American property. Not capture, not rescue, burn. Sometimes the greatest victory is denying your enemy their prize. Strategy transcends mere conquest. Dawn finds Intrepid beyond cannon range. Men collapse, exhausted. Decatur counts, all 70 returned. 1 wounded. In warfare's arithmetic, this qualifies as miraculous. But miracles are usually careful planning, mixed with desperate courage and improbable luck combined. News reaches Jefferson 6 weeks later. He calls it the most bold and daring act of the age. Congress awards Decatur a sword, captaincy at 25. But glory can't resurrect the dead. Heroes pay prices medals never mention. Tripoli prison. Captain Bainbridge watches smoke rise where his ship once floated. Pride? Shame? Both? His captors treat him differently now, with respect born from fear. Decatur's fire has shown them American resolve burns hotter than Mediterranean sun. The raid's aftermath ripples across the Mediterranean. Insurance rates drop. Merchant captains smile. Algiers, Tunis, Morocco reconsider their piracy policies. One burning ship speaks louder than a dozen diplomatic letters. Fire, apparently, is a universal language everyone understands. Let's acknowledge heroism's shadow. Those 20 Tripolitans who died were someone's sons, brothers, fathers. They defended their harbor from foreign invaders. Perspective depends on which flag you salute. Every hero is someone else's villain. War's first casualty, truth. William Hook writes home, "Mother, I've done things that would horrify you for causes that would make you proud." This paradox lives in every warrior's heart. How do you reconcile necessity with humanity? You don't. You carry both. British Admiral Nelson, Napoleon's nemesis, praises Decatur's raid as extraordinary. When enemies applaud you, you've transcended nationality. You've entered mythology. But myths are just truths polished until the blood doesn't show anymore. Glory sanitizes violence into verse. 6 months later, Tripoli signs peace. The Philadelphia raid broke their spirit, proved American determination. 307 prisoners walk free. Bainbridge finally goes home. But he'll never command again. Some failures, even redeemed, leave permanent soul scars. Consider the irony. America's first international triumph was destroying its own property. Not conquering territory, not seizing treasure, but sacrificing valuable assets to deny enemy advantage. Sometimes winning means choosing what you'll lose on your own terms. Philadelphia, the ship's namesake city. Church bells ring when news arrives. Mothers whose sons sailed with Decatur weep with relief. But Martha Bainbridge sits silent. Her husband lives. His career is ashes floating on distant Mediterranean waves forever. Decatur becomes America's first military celebrity. Painters compete for his portrait. Women send proposals. Cities name streets after him. But late at night, he smells burning wood, hears dying splashes. Glory and ghosts share the same bed. A wooden piece from Philadelphia's mast sits in Decatur's cabin. He touches it before every battle, this relic of necessary destruction. Other captains keep trophies from captured ships. Decatur keeps reminders of ships he burned. Victory wears many faces. McDonough, that 17-year-old boy, becomes Commodore McDonough, Lake Champlain's hero. He tells subordinates about Philadelphia, how 70 men changed history. Never mentions his terror that night. Heroes, he learned, are terrified people who don't stop moving. The last Tripolitan survivor, Hassan al-Ghazi, dies in 1861. Tells grandchildren about demons emerging from darkness, burning the great ship, vanishing like smoke. In his version, Decatur has supernatural powers. Every story depends on who's telling it. Philadelphia's anchor, recovered decades later, stands at Naval Academy. Midshipmen touch it for luck before exams. Iron forged 1799, carried through fire 1804, inspiring courage perpetually. Some symbols transcend original purpose, becoming portals to bravery. War's real cost? Not ships or gold. It's William Bainbridge, brilliant captain, never commanding again. Tripolitan families missing fathers. Decatur dying in a duel at 41, perhaps seeking the death he cheated that February night long ago. The Mediterranean remembers. Divers find Philadelphia's bones in Tripoli harbor, cannons, anchors, scattered coins. Metal doesn't burn completely. Neither does memory. Local fishermen avoid the spot. They say American ghosts guard their ship's grave. Maybe ghosts are conscience materialized. Modern special forces study Decatur's raid. SEAL teams analyze tactics, deception, speed, violence, extraction. Technology changes, principles remain, surprise multiplies force. Audacity paralyzes enemies. Sometimes destruction creates more power than possession. Ancient wisdom written in water and fire. Salvador Catalano, Sicilian pilot, disappears after that night. No payment record, no grave, no descendants claiming glory. He guided Americans through darkness, then vanished into it. Some heroes choose invisibility. Their silence speaks louder than any monument. Letter from Tripoli merchant, Americans are madmen. They burn their own ships, call it victory. How do you defeat enemies who destroy what you've captured? Like fighting the wind, fear begins where understanding ends. Incomprehension breeds terror. National Archives holds Decatur's report, 2 pages describing history's most daring raid in bureaucratic prose. Proceeded as ordered. Destroyed frigate. Returned without loss. Understatement as art. The greatest stories hide behind smallest words. Modesty magnifies true courage. 1805. Peace treaty signed. Tribute payments cease. American merchants sail freely. Barbary wars fade into textbooks. But every free passage through those waters carries invisible cargo, ghosts of burned ships, brave men choosing destruction over dishonor. Philosophy professors debate Decatur's choice. Was burning Philadelphia moral? Legal? Necessary? They fill blackboards with ethics, law. But they weren't there, feeling cannons tracking them, knowing 70 lives depended on decisions. Morality shifts when death watches closely. Youngest sailor, Thomas Anderson, 15, lives until 1900. Tells his story countless times. Each telling adds details, subtracts others. Eventually, even he can't separate memory from myth. Time transforms truth into legend. Stories evolve like living things. What nobody mentions, the smell. Burning tar, gunpowder, flesh. Sailors vomited from stench, not just fear. Decatur's uniform reeked for weeks. He burned it eventually. Some memories cling to fabric. Some victories are too heavy to wear. Annapolis painting, burning of the frigate Philadelphia. Oil on canvas, romanticized flames, heroic poses. Beautiful and completely wrong. Artists never asked survivors. They could have explained, heroism looks nothing like art. It looks like organized desperation wearing uniforms. British Empire watches, takes notes. New nation challenges Mediterranean pirates? Interesting. Perhaps these Americans aren't just rebellious colonists. Perhaps there's something more dangerous, idealists with warships. World balance shifts slightly. History pivots on burning wood and audacious courage. Decatur's sword, Congress's gift, sits in museum. Children stare through glass. Guards explain significance. But they can't explain holding that sword, knowing you might die, choosing to swing anyway. Courage can't be displayed. Only its artifacts remain. Official histories omit this. 3 sailors tried deserting before the mission. Fear overwhelmed duty. Decatur didn't court-martial them. He understood. Courage isn't fear's absence, it's action despite terror. Those 3 watched shipmates return as heroes. Shame burns longer. Final letter from Tripoli prisoner, smuggled days before raid. We've lost hope. Philadelphia mocks us daily. Death seems preferable to dishonor. Then Decatur's fire lit the night. Sometimes hope arrives disguised as destruction. Freedom wears flames occasionally. Old Sicilian woman remembers grandfather Salvador Catalano. He never discussed that night. But sometimes, watching the sea, he'd whisper, "I guided them through darkness." She understood only when historians came asking. Heroes hide in plain sight often. Congress debates monument construction. Politicians argue location, size, cost. Meanwhile, Decatur sails toward other battles. He needs no marble. His monument burns eternally in Tripoli harbor, built from ghost ship timbers, enemy nightmares. Some memorials are absent. Last raid survivor, Charles Morris, dies 1856. Final words. Tell them we were afraid but went anyway. This might be courage's perfect definition. Fear plus duty equals heroism. The math is simple. Execution breaks souls, makes legends. Understanding this story's meaning? Not about ships or war. About choosing sacrifice over surrender. Young men becoming myths through fire. America announcing itself through destruction. Sometimes nations, like people, define themselves by what they're willing to burn. Today, USS Decatur submarines patrol unseen oceans. Each carries that 25-year-old's name who burned ships to save ideas. His ghost rides nuclear vessels through unimaginable depths. Heroes don't die. They transform into steel, legend, and inspiration. Mediterranean remembers differently. Old fishermen tell tourists about Allah's fire falling from American hands, about brave defenders dying for harbor. Every story has another side. Truth drowns between versions, weighted by perspective, time, and necessity's harsh mathematics. What remains? Not the ship, she's rust and memory. Not men, they're dust and stories. But the idea survives. Freedom costs everything. Young nations must sometimes burn into history. Courage transforms disaster into triumph. Paradox defines human spirit eternally. Modern Tripoli harbor, peaceful, filled with commerce. Tourists swim where Philadelphia burned. Children play where men died. Past sleeps beneath waves. But February nights locals smell smoke. History never truly dies. It waits, patient as tide, inevitable as dawn. Remember when facing impossible choices. 70 men once sailed toward certain death, returned victorious. They destroyed what they loved, preserved what they believed. In that paradox lives humanity, capable of terrible beauty, beautiful terror. Remember Philadelphia. Remember what courage costs.